To all of you fellow SIRENIA fans who have kept note of my earlier promise that we would return to this group in the eventual future via the remainder of 1977, we're getting there. I intend to keep my word, as you'll see, based on what I know about the 12th hour, and it's a small snippet of what I've heard. I'd say about 99% of this track is still fresh, but what I've humored of it, and coming off of Queen of Lies, I think it's mandatory we take one more interruption to the path towards 1977 to add on to the previous two interruptions. But I think once you hear this piece, and once you experience it with me, you'll understand why. I'll explain it in summation. Maybe some of you will remember. And I wish I'd done this in order. When I started with SIRENIA via Queen of Lies' album, in fact, Arcane Astral Aeons, that was the origin point several months ago. And I forget exactly when it was, but in the time since, I've developed a deep reverence for this group, as I have in general with many European rock and metal talents, especially on the symphonic metal territory. And for a Norwegian symphonic gothic metal group that is just so impressive on atmosphere, and I honestly, in the months since I've been introduced, cannot get enough of them. And every piece that I've humored, for the most part, well, actually, every piece to this point, every piece I've determined in selection for what's coming, I've humored with you. Many of you know I love doing that with music and providing a fellowship experience of what can be offered, because for me, music as an artistic language has such a deep reverence in my life. It has for many years, and I've had a long-standing ambition to enhance its presence here in that we can enjoy good art together. And as I've said in many experiences, there's not been one song or artist that I've not loved spotlighting or showcasing in art that I find quite capable. The 12th hour, from what I know of it, expresses that. And like I said, this is following off of the Queen of Lies. I intentionally determined to take a pause towards 1977 in particular because I wanted to recognize that piece, given SIRENIA, an individual standing of the way I've regarded them, really stands out in the symphonic respect with the operatic regard. And that's solely due to the credits of lead vocalist Emmanuelle Zoldan, who I have been deeply infatuated with in terms of musical and vocal delivery. She is an impressive talent to humor. I feel so honored to be introduced to her and to recognize SIRENIA broadly speaking. I mean, on the instrumental side, their scores are great. I'm not surprised at all, especially with the path that I took. Morton Veland, I've said before, he's quite a visionary, and to every artist's credit of what SIRENIA has produced as a collective offering of art, I've just been elated the entire way through. I hope you experience the same. But specifically, again, like I said with the vocals, the operatic style captivates me, especially when there's an intersection with metal. And Emmanuelle Zoldan's delivery is... I've never been able to forget about it since I first heard it with Into the Night. And in respect to 1977, some of the comments I've heard in discussion with it thus far are that the album takes a bit of a softer approach on personality, and that maybe it's trying some new things. So on the off chance that there isn't an operatic presence, I wanted to spend some more time with it publicly in that regard, and to be impressed. Now, at first I said with Queen of Lies, that was the second reprisal, right? And on that piece, Emmanuelle just shines, and her range is just incredible. I think Into the Night is subtly a little higher, but not by much. The two are very similar, though, in fashion. But again, as I said, I wanted to recognize SIRENIA specifically from the respect of the operatic capability, especially for anybody who might be approaching, like I said, on a first-name basis. I hope at some level showcasing good music offers a path forward for you to explore talents that maybe you've been dying to hear about, but you've never known, where to venture, right? Maybe you've never heard the name SIRENIA before. Maybe you have, but you've just never taken a listen. I hope to provide an opportunity where you can enjoy good art with me. SIRENIA has offered that for me every time. Their offerings on music craftsmanship are quite fulfilling. I hope you experience the same. And in respect to the operatic, that's what I understand with the 12th hour is a destination of this piece, that there is an operatic personality. This is a fresh experience for me, as it will be for you. I am informed on the operatic regard, but I have not heard it in full yet. Let's take the experience together and hear more of Emmanuelle's God-given abilities. I'm going to go ahead and cue up this song. And it's a long piece, by the way, at about 6.5 minutes, a little over that, just by a couple seconds. Let's be introduced together to the 12th hour. No kidding, to match the titling of the song. This is an interesting entrance. I like the variation on key. There's that metal foundation. That's just amazing. The intersection, though, with the metal side on behalf of the vocal placement, man. And there's Morton's vocal talents. What a wonderful match. We're off to the races already. Like the higher pitch. That really is one of the richest intros I've ever done, in my opinion. The echo. I don't think they've overlapped before in the pieces I've humored. That's such an interesting match. Scream meets opera. Or growl meets opera. I like how fresh that is. That strong riff pattern. Oh, I love how dark that is. Here we go. I'm truly convinced she's an angel. I mean, where do you get pipes like that? It's just amazing to me. I like the subtlety of this song. Yeah, this is such a cool mixture on sound. And we still have a little under 4 minutes to go. And I like the resonance and the grounded feel. It's extremely relatable on a human spirit side. I found my thoughts kind of drift in that terror too. No, man. And there's that familiar instrumental break. That's going to be a mainstay element with them over time. This is one of their more recent works. But I'm really liking this navigation. This is a particularly interesting piece to take in. Has its own diverse signature characteristics and individual choices. I like that drop. I was anticipating an immediate growth. Let's see where it goes. There we go. Resurgence. Ooh, mixture on pacing. I like that. Nice divergence point. This piece in particular has such a fresh life to it. There's the choir. I was waiting like, are they gonna show up? Of course. Man, there's so many cool choices with their music. That's in particular quite a strong line. Nice conclusion rapping. We're making our way to the closure, and this is a good effect that's taking place. Softer than I anticipated. I'm really liking that flair in terms of like the cultural sound. Kind of swinging like a German-Irish feel a bit. I really love how independent each of their works are, especially on consideration of reverence. When you consider a SIRENIA track and you break it down, at this point again, I consider myself at least somewhat informed, having humored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, this being the 13th now. You start to see the specific elements take shape and where certain songs diverge in intention from one another, and you see that independence beautifully exercised. Yes, mainstay SIRENIA elements, especially in the harsher territory, and I immediately gravitate to that, though I keep an open door on genre feel for sure. Yeah, everybody has their preference, in terms of music, what suits them in regards to musical preferences. It's a deeply subjective entertainment experience, I know. Some prefer softer songs on the more of a ballad direction. Others tend to gravitate to the more aggressive. I love those pieces with SIRENIA, though I keep an open door again on their other works too, because each piece I've humored is deeply transfixing and mesmeric. The 12th hour is no different. I'm grateful that I decided to take a stop with this piece before we approach 1977 together. I'm grateful I did. In construction, that's beautiful. I love the theming of reconciling life amidst perhaps life's tribulations, right? However you symbolize the song, again, it can have broad application, but it's deeply human. I respect its philosophy. It's a deeply eloquent narrative. And when you study the song, though, man, that opener is great. The clock chimes, so funny, but totally on point with the 12th hour name. Great match. This has every staple I love with SIRENIA, though. On the operatic, I think that is Emmanuel's highest inflection from what I've witnessed personally. Isn't she, like I said, to me she's just, that's God-given talent, when you hear it. I can't get enough of hearing it, quite frankly. I have taken each piece with the operatic side, I continually find myself rewinding. Even mid-track, I just can't get enough of hearing those individual segments. Her vocals are just so beautiful. Mixing, though, this is different, from my experience. Overlapping the operatic with Morton's growl. That's you think to yourself, like, a growl is going to mix with opera? It does here. It's a wonderful translation, isn't it? I think partly the harder basis of the piece in musical structuring does contribute a lot. But Emmanuel and Morton have such a unique blending experience that you would think on its face might not work, but then you hear it and you're like, this is incredible, actually. It's deeply satisfactory and rewarding. Like I said, individual presence with this piece, and one that I will not forget about. On structuring, I love the rough edge. Anything with the operatic side on behalf of Emmanuel's talents, I fall in love with immediately. The opener, the snare choices, the presence of it feeling a bit European in terms of maybe specific countries' identity and their music craftsmanship. Like I said, I kind of get like a bit of a dainty German-Irish type flair. Just subtly. But it does emerge. It's a particularly unique piece in standing. And to hear the choir again, too, is a great... man, I was waiting, like, is that going to arrive? And it did, thank goodness. I love hearing their presence, especially since, as I know, with 1977, they won't be making a reappearance on that album, at least for now. Maybe in the future, that'll be cool if they do again. But it was a choice, I believe, on behalf of the band to not reintroduce their talents. at least in present. But in the past, man, they just sounded beautiful. That is such a welcome number. I love it. I'm grateful that I spotlighted that one in particular, just like I did with Queen of Lies. I could have proceeded on my way and maybe gone and listened to these myself for sure, but again, I want these to be rewarding experiences for you as well. I don't want these videos just in terms of me being introduced to good music just to be about me, right? I don't want it to be entirely selfish. I know it might come across that way to some, but I truly hope for a mutual experience of enjoyment of good art, and SIRENIA offers that. And on interest, when I consider music, especially in the rock space, I am compelled by the fact that in my face-to-face life with my peers, I don't have much cohesion on a metal love. But with many of you, I do. So I like having a sense of fostering connection points and community that remind me I'm not as much of an anomaly in my tastes. I do consider myself quite lucky with SIRENIA. They don't happen to be a circulated name among my peers. I wish they were. And maybe I'm motivated by that chiefly. But there's potential for a wider recognition or capability. So maybe you're someone that, like people that I know, has not humored SIRENIA yet, but this is the type of music that you've been dying to hear, but you just haven't known where to go looking. Maybe I forged a path for you to discover a group that, again, I was in the same position as I'm sure you were a while ago, right? I remember back months ago, I just knew SIRENIA by name. But I took the dive myself, and I've been pleased ever since. I hope you experience the same. I hope your feelings are shared like mine in the reverence I will now have for the 12th hour on several repeat listens. That number is just incredible on construction, and every element they bring in, I loved it. I'd love to hear again if that's reciprocated down below if you do wish to disclose that perspective and your angle of approach. Longtime SIRENIA fan, fresh introduction, feel free to share. I hope for experiences where we enjoy good work together, and we will with SIRENIA, like I've said. 1977. That's next. We are returning. I'm keeping my word on that. But these pauses that I've taken with past works, I'm glad I did. 12th Hour deserves it. I don't know how much attention this particular track got. On behalf of it, maybe you're not getting the visualizer component in terms of music video or anything. But I know probably SIRENIA fans have heard this one, in mass for sure and regarded it, with the attention it deserves. But it's a piece that it warrants that spotlight. And again, this is following closely off the path of Queen of Lies. I just love being immersed in Emmanuel's operatic talents. So to humor another opportunity of a higher inflection, mixed with such a fabulous track construction, in every element working in the track's favor, on narrative, on individual personality, creative choices. It's a rewarding piece. Brilliant work of art. That's what SIRENIA offers, generally. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.